Imagine if you could draw anyone toward you, without force, without begging, simply through your behavior, your presence, and your understanding. People want to listen to you, want to be around you, and cannot forget you. This is not magic. This is seduction. And in today's audiobook, we will learn that very secret art that kings, queens, artists, politicians, and the most clever people throughout history have used. In politics, in business, in relationships, and in the game of power. This is Robert Greene's book, The Art of Seduction. But remember, seduction does not mean only romantic attraction. It is the art of winning minds. It is the power of influence. And it is the softest, yet most dangerous way to gain power if you are ready to understand people, to transform yourself, and to learn this hidden game. Let us begin. The greatest lie about seduction is that it is only for beautiful people. The truth is that seduction does not begin with looks. It begins with mindset. Seduction means understanding someone's emotional needs and making yourself the answer to those very needs. Every person carries within them a hunger for attention, a lack of excitement, a desire for love, and a wish to feel special. A seducer is one who identifies that empty space. This book teaches us about different types of seducers, different types of people, and the strategies that create impact without a single word being spoken. Chapter 1. The seductive character. Types of Robert Greene says that every seducer is not alike. Seduction does not run on a single formula. Some people draw others toward them without even trying, because their nature, their behavior, and their style is different. Such people may appear ordinary, but their presence leaves an impression. This is why seduction begins first with personality, not with looks. The first type is the charmer. A charmer is someone who makes you feel good simply by being with them. They listen to you carefully without interrupting, and make you feel that at this moment, you are the most important person in the world. Their praise does not feel fake because they do not make grand gestures. They pay attention to the smallest things. A charmer never applies pressure, nor tries to gain anything quickly. Their greatest secret is that they do not place themselves at the center. They make the other person the center. In their presence, people feel smarter, more confident, and more valued. And a person always wants to return to the place where they feel their own worth. The second type is the charismatic. A charismatic person carries a different kind of energy within them. When they walk into a room, people automatically look their way. Their words carry passion and conviction. They speak of the future, show grand dreams, and make people feel that something exciting is about to happen. Charisma does not mean every word is true. It means the speaker themselves completely believes what they are saying. Certainty is the root of charisma. When you show belief in yourself, stay calm, and show no hesitation, people naturally begin to trust you. Charismatic people sell hope, and people attach themselves to that very hope. The third type is the natural. The natural seducer is innocent like a child. They are playful, emotional, and do not overplan. Conversation with them does not feel heavy. People feel relaxed around them because they don't appear fake. They present themselves exactly as they are. Their innocence becomes their greatest strength because people don't judge them, they won't protect them. The natural seducer finds a place in people's hearts without fear and without pressure. According to Robert Greene, the first step of seduction is understanding what your natural style is. Seduction truly works only when you are honest with your own character. Chapter 2. The seduced, who is easily drawn in. Not every person is seduced. Some people are emotionally strong, self-aware, and not easily influenced. But there are also people who connect very quickly. Robert Greene says that seduction does not always begin with the seducer. It begins with the person who is feeling a lack within themselves. When someone's emotional needs are not being met, they treat even a small signal from outside as something very significant. The first type are lonely people. Loneliness is not only about being physically alone. Many people feel lonely even while living in crowds. They have people to talk to, but no one who truly listens. For such people, even a little attention becomes a very big thing. When someone listens to them carefully, without judging, without rushing to respond, they feel that someone finally understands them. If you make someone feel that their words matter, that their feelings are valid, they gradually begin to connect with you emotionally. A lonely person seeks connection, and seduction often enters through the doorway of that connection. The second type are bored people, those whose lives are running in the same pattern, whose days are all alike, who have nothing new to feel. They're searching for excitement. Such people don't want drama. They want change. Seduction here becomes a game of providing excitement. New ideas, a different perspective, and a little unpredictability draws them in. When someone fills their routine life with a new color, they begin to think about that person again and again. For a bored person, the seducer becomes a break, an escape, and that escape gradually turns into attraction. The third type are people with low self-esteem. These are people who doubt themselves. They feel they are not enough, that perhaps no one considers them special. Such people search for validation. When someone praises them, makes them feel special, talks about their strengths, those words go straight to their heart. This validation gives them something they cannot give themselves. And when someone from the outside fills this void, that person settles into their mind. People with low self-esteem want acceptance more than attraction. Robert Greene states clearly that seduction always works around some weakness. This is why before seducing anyone, it is important to understand what the other person is searching for. Because a person connects most quickly in the place where they feel the deepest need. Chapter 3. Seduction's first rule: never be desperate. The very first and most essential rule of seduction is never be desperate. Most people make their biggest mistake right here. They think that by giving more attention, messaging repeatedly, or attaching quickly, the other person will come closer. But reality is the exact opposite. Desperation does not increase attraction, it slowly destroys it. When you message someone repeatedly, expect an immediate reply, or are available at all times, you are unknowingly sending a signal that you have nothing else. The other person feels that your entire world revolves around them. In the beginning, this may feel good to them, but very quickly your value begins to decrease. A person values what does not come easily. Attaching quickly is also a form of desperation. Some people invest emotionally the moment they receive a little attention. They start talking about the future, build expectations, and make the other person the center of their happiness. This creates pressure. The other person starts to feel suffocated. And instead of attraction, distance comes. Seduction never works under pressure. In fact, the nature of seduction is completely different. It is calm, it is slow, and it is completely controlled. There is no hurry, no restlessness. A confident person knows they do not need to prove themselves. They are comfortable within themselves, and so they give the other person space too. When you show that your life is already full, that you have your own goals, your own routine, your own world, people want to become a part of that world. They feel that earning a place in your life is an achievement. This is why strong attraction is always toward people who appear complete within themselves. According to Robert Greene, the real power of seduction is hidden in silence, patience, and self-control. The more you hold yourself together, the more the other person tries to come closer. Let go of desperation. Work on presence. That is where seduction begins. Chapter 4. The Attention Game. Winning attention first. Seduction does not begin with attraction. It begins with attention. Until someone's attention turns toward you, there is no room for attraction. People first notice you. Only then do they begin to feel something about you. This is why the first practical step of seduction is winning the other person's attention. But the most wrong way to get attention is to talk more, be seen more, and try harder. Many people think that if they keep themselves present everywhere, get involved in every conversation, and stay constantly in front, people will start noticing them. In reality, the opposite happens. When you become too visible, you become common. And what is common, no one pays attention to. The right way to get attention is to be slightly different. Looking different is not necessary. Behaving differently is more important. If your way of speaking, your reactions, and your thinking are not predictable, people naturally become curious. Unpredictability keeps the mind active. When the other person cannot figure out what you will say or do next, their attention stays on you automatically. Not being available every time is also a very big part of attention. When you pick up every call, immediately reply to every message, and are always present, the value of your presence decreases. Your absence is more powerful when it is intentional. When you sometimes appear and sometimes don't, the other person notices. They think, they question, and that very thinking increases attention. Curiosity is the fuel of seduction. When someone cannot fully understand who you are, what you want, and what your life is like, their mind starts searching for answers on its own. And the person we think about is the person we gradually become attracted to. Remember, the desire for something that comes too easily fades very quickly. Attention is strongest when it takes a little effort to get. In seduction, your absence affects people more than your presence. Chapter 5. Creating Mystery. Don't tell everything. The most common and biggest mistake in seduction is that people reveal everything too quickly. They think that honesty means laying out your entire life story, all your plans, and all your feelings at once. But seduction does not run on honesty. It runs on timing. When you tell everything immediately, there is nothing left for the other person to discover. Mystery never means lying. Mystery means revealing things slowly. The truth remains the same. It is just brought forward over time rather than served all at once. When you tell your entire life story in a single day, you eliminate the curiosity of getting to know you. Immediately revealing your plans and feelings also weaken seduction. When the other person already knows what you think, what you want, and what you're going to do, the excitement ends. Seduction lives in uncertainty. A little confusion, a little suspense keeps attraction alive. Leaving some questions unanswered is also an art. It is not necessary to answer every question. Sometimes a light smile, changing the topic, or promising to tell later is more effective. This keeps the other person thinking about you. They build possibilities in their mind, create scenarios, and that very imagination gradually turns into emotional connection. When a person does not get the full picture, their mind builds the picture themselves. And often that picture is more attractive than reality. Imagination is seduction's most powerful weapon because it is not in the other person's control. The less you show, the more they add on their own. According to Robert Greene, mystery is the way to keep attraction alive. When you do not fully explain yourself, your personality gains depth. People feel that there is something more inside you that has not yet come to the surface, and that feeling compels them to come closer to you. Chapter 6. Emotional connection, heart more than mind. Most people believe that if they say the right things, appear smart, and speak logically, people will be impressed by them. But being impressed and connecting are two different things. Logic forces people to think, but emotion binds people. People make decisions with the heart. Afterwards, they justify them with the mind. Emotional connection is formed when the other person feels something with you. If you can make someone laugh, reduce their tension, or understand their words, you connect with them not through their mind, but through their heart. In seduction, great knowledge is not needed. What is needed is the feeling that the other person experiences when they are with you. Making someone feel understood is a very big thing. When you listen to someone carefully, do not interrupt in the middle, and do not immediately try to give solutions. The other person opens up. They feel they are not being judged here. This feeling gradually turns into trust. And where there is trust, attraction is born on its own. Making someone feel safe is the most underrated part of seduction. When someone gets emotional safety with you, they remove their mask. They begin to show their fears, their weaknesses, and their true feelings. At that level of connection, the bond is very deep because there is no pretense there. There is only honesty. In seduction, you don't need to be a hero. You don't need to prove yourself great by solving someone's problem. Most people don't want solutions. They want understanding. Being a good listener is often more powerful than being a good speaker. When you give the other person space, let them speak, and respect their feelings, you become special to them. According to Robert Greene, emotional connection is the very foundation on which seduction stands. When people feel good with you, they want to return to that same feeling again and again, and that returning strengthens attraction. Chapter 7. Mirroring, becoming like the other person. People naturally connect with those in whom they see a reflection of themselves. When we feel that the other person is like us, understands us, speaks our language, an invisible comfort is created. This comfort becomes the first step toward connection. This is the principle on which mirroring works. Mirroring means gradually adjusting yourself to the behavior, tone, and energy of the other person. If they speak slowly, you slow down too. If they are of a serious nature, you don't joke excessively, you stay calm. If they are humorous and playful, you become a little lighter too. This is not conscious acting. It is genuine alignment. When mirroring happens correctly, the other person does not feel that you are using any technique. They simply feel that you understand them. They feel no effort in talking to you. The conversation flows naturally, as if both are on the same rhythm. This is why mirroring is considered a powerful seduction tool. But here is a very important point. Mirroring should never feel fake. If you forcefully try to be like someone else, it will be caught immediately. A person senses fakeness in body language and tone very quickly. So mirroring does not mean completely changing yourself. It means bringing a little flexibility within your natural behavior. Mirroring works when you truly observe the other person. You understand their way of speaking, their reactions, and their comfort level. Then, without overthinking, you naturally adjust to that level. This adjustment is not for show, it is for building connection. When the other person gets the feeling, this person understands me, trust is born within them. And where trust exists, attraction slowly builds itself. According to Robert Greene, mirroring is among those seduction techniques that are invisible, yet leave a very deep impact. Chapter 8. Give them a role. Make them feel special. Every person carries within them a deep desire to be made to feel important. People don't just want attention, they want significance. They need to know that their presence makes a difference in someone's life. Seduction is the art of recognizing this need and touching it in the right way. When you give a person a role, they don't just talk to you. They begin to consider themselves a part of your world. A role does not mean giving a grand title. A role means making them feel that they have a special place that no one else can fill. For example, when you say your advice is different, you are not just giving a compliment. You are giving them an identity. You are making them a person whose thinking matters. In the same way, when you say talking to you brings clarity, the other person feels they're the one who resolves your confusion, that their presence improves your mental state. This feeling is very powerful. A person always wants to return to the place where they were made to feel meaningful. Phrases like, "you calm me down," affect directly an emotional level. The other person feels they are a stabilizer in your emotional world, a safe point. This is not just appreciation. It is responsibility. And a person becomes attached to that responsibility. All these words are not just compliments. They are emotional hooks. They gradually build attachment because the other person begins to consider themselves part of your emotional structure. They feel that if they are not there, something will be missing. This feeling deepens the emotional bond. According to Robert Greene, in seduction, people don't connect through your words, but through the role you give them. When you make someone feel unique, they don't consider themselves replaceable. And when a person begins to see themselves as irreplaceable, the connection strengthens on its own. Chapter 9. The Hot and Cold Technique. Seduction never runs in a straight line. If everything stays smooth, predictable, and exactly the same, excitement slowly fades. A person gets used to what always stays the same. This is why the hot and cold concept works in seduction. It creates an emotional rhythm in which there is sometimes closeness and sometimes distance. The hot and cold technique means giving a lot of attention sometimes and stepping back a little sometimes. Sometimes appearing warm, caring, talking openly, and then suddenly taking a little silence. Sometimes making the other person feel they are important to you, and sometimes getting busy in your own world. This variation keeps the other person's mind active. When you give the same level of attention at all times, they take it for granted. But when attention is sometimes more and sometimes less, they notice. They begin to think. What are you thinking? Why are you changing? This confusion increases attraction. A person thinks more about something they cannot fully understand. The hot and cold technique has its effect because it stimulates emotions. When warmth comes, comfort arrives. When distance comes, fear arrives, the fear that the warmth might be lost. This emotional swing deepens attachment. But here is a very important point, and that is balance. If hot and cold becomes too extreme, it is no longer seduction. It becomes cruelty. If you suddenly ignore someone completely or become cold without reason, the other person will feel hurt, not curious. In seduction, you need to create curiosity, not discomfort. So distance should never feel like punishment. The hot and cold technique only works when your warmth is genuine and your distance feels natural. Distance does not mean you're playing games. It means you have your own life and your own priorities. Warmth does not mean you are clingy. It means you are emotionally present. According to Robert Greene, seduction is an emotional dance. If you keep every step the same, the dance becomes boring. But if the rhythm is right, sometimes close, sometimes distant, the other person becomes bound in that very flow. Balance is this technique's real strength. Chapter 10. Use of time. Don't rush. In seduction, the most powerful weapon is time. Most people don't understand this weapon and ruin everything in their haste. They think that if there are feelings, they should be shown immediately. If a connection is forming, it should be named quickly. But seduction works in patience, not impatience. Those who are in a hurry often lose everything. Quick replies, quick commitment, quick expectations all create pressure on the other person. Pressure reduces attraction. People naturally run away from what tries to bind them. Seduction does not mean catching someone. It means letting them come toward you on their own. A person who moves slowly stays in control because they know they don't need to prove themselves. They enjoy the moment, trust the process, and let everything grow at its natural pace. This very calmness makes the other person feel both secure and curious. Showing commitment too quickly is the most common mistake in seduction. When you very quickly start talking about the future, making promises, you give the other person everything they should still have been earning. In the same way, placing expectations too quickly also weakens attraction. Expectations are only healthy when they develop naturally from both sides. The best strategy in seduction is to let the other person do the chasing. When a person makes effort, invests time, and takes steps, their attachment deepens. What comes easily is not valued, but what takes time to obtain feels more valuable. According to Robert Greene, time creates tension in seduction. This tension keeps excitement alive and strengthens connection. So do not rush. What is right will come in its own time. In seduction, patience is the real strength. Chapter 11. Controlling people through emotions. No matter how logical a person considers themselves, the truth is that most of their decisions come from emotion. Logic often comes later, only to justify the decision already made. Robert Greene makes this clear. If you touch someone's emotions, their logic gradually begins to weaken. They start seeing and understanding what their heart makes them feel. Seduction works on this very psychology. In it, feelings matter more than facts. How right you are is not as important as how the other person feels with you. When emotion is activated, a person begins to forget their normal rules. They take risks, they justify, and sometimes even go against themselves. Seduction revolves around 4 basic emotions. The first is fear, not the fear of being frightened, but the fear of losing. When someone feels they might lose you, both their attention and attachment increase. The second is hope. Hope keeps a person bound. When you show someone the possibility of a better future, they stay connected on the strength of that hope. The third is love or affection. When someone receives care, warmth, and emotional closeness, they naturally soften. The fourth is insecurity. Every person has self-doubt somewhere within them. When someone understands that insecurity or temporarily heals it, the connection becomes very deep. The person who creates emotion is the one who controls the situation. This does not mean manipulating anyone, but understanding that influence always happens at the emotional level. If you only speak logically, you can win arguments, but you will not win hearts. Seduction is the game of winning hearts. The greatest quality of emotions is that they are invisible, yet their impact is very strong. The other person themselves cannot understand why they are being pulled toward you. They only know that they feel something different with you. That very feeling keeps bringing them back to you. According to Robert Greene, the most dangerous and most powerful thing in seduction is emotion. The one who understands this can turn not just people, but situations in their favor. Chapter 12. Create dependency, but don't let it show. Dependency in seduction is a very sensitive subject. Direct dependency, where the other person openly starts leaning on you, can be dangerous. It creates pressure, causes imbalance, and attraction begins to weaken. But emotional dependency is a different thing. It does not form suddenly. It develops gradually, without noise. Emotional dependency forms when you become someone's comfort in life. When they are troubled, they think of you. When they want to share something good or bad, your name comes to mind first. Your presence becomes a safe space for them. This is not a conscious decision. It forms like a habit. When a person begins to share everything with you, it doesn't mean they are weak. It means they feel emotional security with you. They know they will be heard, understood. Gradually, they begin to feel that something is missing in your absence. Without you, they feel a slight emptiness. This is the true mark of emotional dependency. But the most important balance comes here. From the outside, you must always appear independent. You must have your own life, your own goals, friends, interests. If you also begin to appear equally dependent, the balance will break. In seduction, power stays where emotional closeness and personal independence walk together. When the other person becomes emotionally dependent on you, but sees you as self-sufficient, they value you even more. They feel you are a bonus in their life, not a necessity. That very feeling strengthens attraction. According to Robert Greene, true power lies not in showing control, but in maintaining balance. When you create dependency without showing it, that is when seduction works in its most effective form. Chapter 13. Withdrawal. Sometimes stepping back is necessary. In seduction, being always present gradually reduces your value. A person does not value what is always available. When your presence becomes guaranteed, excitement begins to fade. This is why sometimes stepping back is necessary. Withdrawal is that part of seduction that is invisible, but has the most impact. Withdrawal does not mean ignoring someone or punishing them. It means bringing your energy back toward yourself for a little while, replying a little late, not trying to extend every conversation, and showing that your life does not revolve around just one person. When you focus on your own life, you naturally appear more grounded and confident. When you suddenly become a little less available, the other person notices. They feel the difference. They begin to think, why are you not the same as before? This very thinking becomes seduction's real trigger. Did I say something wrong? Are they moving away from me? These questions start circling in their mind, and a person connects more with whoever they think about more. Withdrawal increases attachment because it creates an emotional gap. When warmth is removed for a little while, its absence makes sense. The other person misses the feeling they got when they were with you. This missing feeling deepens attraction. But withdrawal only works when it feels natural. If you suddenly become cold or create distance without reason, it can cause hurt. In seduction, stepping back is like a silence that speaks on its own. It must be calm, not dramatic. The distance must be just enough that the other person misses you, not enough that they let go. When you stay busy in your own life, work on your own goals, and keep your interests alive, withdrawal happens automatically. You don't need to do anything extra. Your absence becomes meaningful because it is not fake. According to Robert Greene, in seduction, absence is more powerful than presence. The person who understands when to come close and when to step back, that is the one who maintains emotional control. Sometimes taking one step back forces the other person to take 2 steps forward. Chapter 14. Jealousy, a silent weapon. Jealousy is a weapon in seduction that makes no noise, but leaves a very deep impact. It does not come forward loudly. It shakes emotions from within. When a person begins to feel that they might lose you, their feelings suddenly become more intense. What seemed casual before suddenly starts to feel important. Jealousy's root is in fear, the fear of losing. As long as someone feels you are always available for them, they may take you lightly. But the moment they receive the signal that you are not their only option, their attention sharpens. They start noticing you more, valuing you more. But an important distinction must be understood here. Creating jealousy does not mean playing mind games. It does not mean lying, trying to make someone jealous, or intentionally causing pain. Doing that creates not seduction, but mistrust. True jealousy is subtle and natural. Just showing that you have your own world is enough, that you have friends in your life, connections, conversations, that you are socially active, appreciated, and people want to be around you. When the other person sees that you're interesting to others too, they begin to compare themselves. They think, if they took you for granted, perhaps someone else might take their place. Jealousy works best when it is indirect. A story, a casual mention, or a glimpse of your life is enough to show that you are not isolated. The other person doesn't feel provoked, but they definitely feel that your value is not limited only to them. This feeling makes them not defensive, but attentive. They start making more effort, showing more presence, because a person tries to protect what they feel they are on the verge of losing. According to Robert Greene, jealousy is powerful in seduction because it touches the ego. It forces the other person to think that you're not their convenience, you're a choice. And when a person finds themselves in competition rather than certainty, their feelings automatically grow stronger. But remember, the correct use of jealousy requires balance. If it stays in control, it increases attraction. If it goes too far, it breaks trust. In seduction, subtlety is its real strength. Chapter 15. Power Dynamics. Who is in control? In every relationship, whether friendship, romance, or any close connection, there is a power balance. This power is not visibly displayed, but is felt in every interaction. Power does not mean showing dominance. It means understanding who has more emotional control. It is often assumed that whoever cares more is more genuine. Care is not wrong, but when care goes into imbalance, power shifts. The person who invests more, worries more, and fears more goes into a weaker position. Their mood, reactions, and decisions begin to depend on the other person's behavior. In contrast, the one who stays calm holds the stronger position. Calmness does not mean a lack of feelings. It means control over emotions. When you don't react to every small thing, when you observe situations and compose yourself before responding, you show emotional stability. This stability becomes power. In seduction, power stays with the one who remains emotionally stable. If you get upset easily, become quickly happy, or quickly sad, the other person unknowingly begins to control you. But when you stay balanced, are not predictable, and remain centered within yourself, the other person cannot read your reactions. And that very uncertainty forces them to respect you more. Not reacting is the most underrated skill in seduction. Reaction comes from impulse. Response comes from awareness. When you don't react, but instead respond thoughtfully, you keep the situation in your own hands. You give the other person the signal that your inner state does not entirely depend on their behavior. According to Robert Greene, the power dynamics game does not begin outside. It begins inside. The person who can manage their own emotions can understand the emotions of others. And the one who understands is the one who stays in control. In seduction, the greatest strength is not loud action. It is silent stability. Chapter 16. Seduction versus manipulation. Between seduction and manipulation, there is a very thin line that most people cannot understand. From the outside, both can look similar. Both involve influence, emotions are involved, and behavior is affected. But from the inside, their intentions and impacts are completely different. Manipulation is always selfish. In it, one person uses another's emotions for their own benefit. The other person's feelings, their needs, and their limits do not matter in manipulation. A manipulator's focus is only on what they want and how to obtain it. In such a relationship, one person wins, and the other gradually loses themselves. The base of seduction is different. True seduction runs on mutual enjoyment. In it there is attraction from both sides, curiosity, and emotional or mental pleasure. In seduction, the other person is not forced. They're not trapped. They're given a chance to choose themselves. They themselves become part of this experience. The biggest difference shows in how the other person feels about themselves. If at any point they begin to feel they are being used, that they are merely a means to someone's ego or need, the game ends right there. Attraction rests on trust. The moment trust breaks, seduction breaks too. In true seduction, both parties receive pleasure, sometimes emotional, like feeling understood, appreciated, and connected. Sometimes mental, like curiosity, excitement, and challenge. Both feel they're sharing something meaningful. According to Robert Greene, seduction remains powerful as long as it is light and willing. The moment control, guilt, or pressure enters it, it becomes manipulation. Seduction inspires. Manipulation exploits. And the person who understands this difference is the one who can maintain attraction for the long term. Chapter 17. Create an escape from reality. People often think that seduction is only a game of attraction or charm. But the truth is far deeper than this. People are seduced because their real lives are often filled with heavy routine and are, somewhere, boring. Most people are stuck between responsibilities, pressure, and identical days. In such a situation, seduction becomes a break for them, a place where they feel something different. If you become an escape in someone's life, they return to you again and again. An escape doesn't mean running from reality. It means giving brief relief from reality. When they can laugh with you, feel lighter, and feel more free, you become special to them. Laughter is the easiest and most honest part of seduction. It breaks tension and increases closeness. Depth is the other dimension of escape. When you go beyond surface-level conversation and talk about someone's thinking, fears, and dreams, the other person feels they don't have to remain shallow with you. They feel here they're not just playing a role, they're a real human being. This depth makes the connection meaningful. Imagination makes seduction magical. When you talk about possibilities, share vague but exciting ideas about the future, or look at situations in a slightly dreamy way, the other person begins to look beyond their own life. They imagine themselves in a different version of themselves with you, and that imagination strengthens attraction. Excitement is the final part of escape. It doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes a new thought, a spontaneous comment, an unexpected silence can also become excitement. What matters is that the experience of being with you is different from the rest of the world. According to Robert Greene, the real meaning of seduction is giving a better experience than the real world. When a person feels more alive in your presence, they cannot let go of that feeling. And that very feeling keeps drawing them back toward you. Chapter 18. Ending is as important as beginning. In seduction, people pay a lot of attention to the beginning, but often ignore the ending. This becomes the biggest mistake. According to Robert Greene, the impact of seduction is determined by how you arrive, and even more by how you stop. Overstaying gradually weakens attraction. When seduction reaches its peak, when the connection is strong, when the other person appears emotionally invested, that is exactly the right moment to pause. Most people make a mistake here. They start over-explaining, being more present, and chasing more. They fear that if they stop, everything will end. But the truth is that overdoing is what ends everything. Over-explaining kills mystery. When you make every feeling, every thought, and every intention clear, there is nothing left for the other person to discover. Seduction lives in uncertainty. A little ambiguity, a little unfinished sentence keeps attraction alive. Chasing too much also weakens seduction. When you're always busy convincing the other person, you place yourself in a lower position. Chasing is meaningful only when it is balanced. When you always move forward, the other person never gets the chance to come forward. In seduction, space is just as necessary as closeness. Keeping mystery intact is the most important part of the ending. When you step back a little, when you're not always available, your presence becomes a memory. The other person misses you, thinks about you, and that thinking makes attraction long-term. A good ending becomes a strong memory. People often don't remember what you said. They remember how they felt with you. If your ending is graceful, calm, and confident, your image stays positive and powerful in their mind. According to Robert Greene, seduction is like a story. If the story's ending is poor, the whole story feels dull. But if the ending is right, people remember that story again and again. Knowing when to stop in seduction is also an art. Robert Greene's final lesson from the Art of Seduction is this: seduction is not a trick to be memorized. It is a mindset, a way of being. When you stay calm, observe, and learn to respond instead of react, you naturally become influential. People connect not through your words, but through your presence. The book also teaches us that power does not lie in controlling others. It lies in self-control. The person who can manage their own emotions can understand the emotions of others. And the one who understands is the one who influences. The most beautiful form of seduction is one in which both people feel more alive, more aware, and more valued. Subscribe to One Book for more psychology, mindset, and self-development audiobooks.